Manchester United are done with their transfer window. Yeah, done. And if you were waiting to see a new striker, a left back, or even a big signing that could shake up the market in the final days, well, it probably isn't happening. Even though the squad still needs reinforcements, and that's what has a lot of people asking. How does a club the size of Manchester United decide to almost completely stop making signings while the squad is still incomplete? The answer is that what happened this summer was a complete change in the way the club approached the transfer market. And because one of United's biggest problems last season was in midfield, the first signing the club announced was Andre Santos from Chelsea. United paid around £50 million to bring in a player they believe can lead their midfield for years to come. But the board knew that one player alone wasn't going to solve the problem. Then, right after that, came Yuri Tielemans in a deal worth around £35 million. But this time, the goal was different. He wasn't a player for the future, but a ready-made player who already knows the Premier League and can walk straight into the starting lineup from day one. In simple terms, the club had divided the job into two parts, one player to build for the future, and another to give the team stability from the very beginning. And that wasn't the final step. United also brought in the young winger Tynan Thompson for around £8 million. It was a signing that maybe didn't get much attention, but it was part of the same idea. Building a team not just for one season, but for the years to come. As for the goalkeeper position, the board had a different approach. The team needed a backup goalkeeper, but that wasn't a position worth spending millions on, so they brought in Karl Darlow on a free transfer. And when we look at all these signings together, we can notice something important. In previous years, Manchester United could have spent 80 or 90 million pounds on a single player, but this summer, the board spread its investment across multiple positions. £50 million on Andre Santos, £35 million on Yuri Tielemans, £8 million on Tynan Thompson, and Darlow for free. So the real question was never how many players you signed. The important thing was where you chose to spend your money. By the end of this stage, it was only natural for Manchester United fans to expect the next big signing. But what happened instead was a surprise. The board stopped looking for players to bring in and started looking for players to move out. And that was the beginning of the toughest stage of Manchester United's transfer window, because signing players was much easier than getting rid of them. The board knew the squad still needed reinforcements, but it also knew that no new signing was going to happen before someone left. And that was exactly why the outgoing players became more important than the new signings. And the first name on that list is Marcus Rashford, who was once the face of Manchester United's project, but has now become the biggest issue on the board's desk. It's not just because of his performances, but also because of his wages. Rashford earns around £325,000 a week, making him one of the highest paid players in the entire squad. Barcelona had him on loan last season, but in the end, they decided not to keep him and wished him well on his way. After that, interest came from Fenerbahce, and as of now, the club is still trying to find the best way to get the deal done. Because Rashford's departure would solve more than one problem. It would free up a massive wage, open up a spot in the squad, and give the board more financial flexibility if they decide to make another signing. But Rashford isn't the only one. Joshua Zirkzee's future is also up in the air, with the board not convinced that he has shown enough to justify their expectations. If the right offer comes in, his departure is very much a possibility, because letting him go could open the door for the club to sign a new striker. The same idea applied to the goalkeeper position as well. Altay Bayındır has become one of the names who could leave, while Radek Vitek is also close to a move to Middlesbrough. And when you look at all these cases together, you realize that the board wasn't trying to sell players just to bring in money. They were trying to achieve three things at the same time: reduce the wage bill, free up spots in the squad, and stay ready in case a signing comes along that is actually worth investing in. And that's what explains why, despite Manchester United spending around £93 million on new signings and bringing in around £38 million from the sale of Højlund, their net spending stood at just around £55 million. And that number tells us something very important. This time, the board wasn't entering the transfer market just to make headlines or tell the fans, "We spent more money." Instead, they were trying to build a team while maintaining the club's financial balance at the same time. But there was still one position the board believed needed strengthening: defensive midfield. And that was supposed to be almost the final piece of the first stage of the project. That's why all eyes turned to Atalanta's Ederson. From the very beginning, the board was convinced that he could bring the balance the team had been missing last season. Negotiations with Atalanta were progressing positively, and United were prepared to pay around £35 million to get the deal done. Everything seemed to be pointing toward an official announcement being just a matter of time. But at the last moment, problems came up during the medical, and the board decided to pull the plug on the deal. It was a difficult decision, especially since almost everything was already in place, but at the same time, it reflected the club's new way of thinking. In previous years, Manchester United might have gone ahead with the deal, only to discover later that they had spent millions on a player with injury concerns. This time, however, the board preferred to walk away rather than repeat the same mistakes. After the Ederson deal collapsed, the club started reassessing its options and went back to looking at names like Aurelien Tchouameni and Carlos Baleba. But the problem wasn't choosing the right player. The problem was that any new signing had become dependent on one thing. Someone had to leave first. And the same scenario repeated itself at left back. The board had Lewis Hall at the top of their list, but Newcastle's determination to keep the player made negotiations difficult. So United started looking at other alternatives without rushing into a decision. One of those alternatives is Spanish left back Jorge Salinas, 18-year-old Racing Santander player who has a €16 million release clause in his contract. So we could see him wearing a Manchester United shirt at any moment. As for the attack, the board's stance was clear. There would be no new striker unless either Rashford or Zirkzee left first. And that means all of United's remaining transfer plans are connected. Sell a player and you make room for a new signing. No sale, no new signing. And that brings us back to the very first sentence we started this episode with. Is Manchester United really done with their transfer window? The answer is pretty much yes. Not because the squad is complete and not because the board believes the team has no problems, but because the plan has reached its final stage. And this stage isn't about buying anymore. It's about management. Managing the budget, managing the wage bill, and choosing the right moment before making any further moves. Maybe Manchester United fans were expecting more big names, and maybe a lot of people still believe the squad needs more reinforcements. But for the first time in years, United seemed calm in the transfer market, without chasing every available deal and without throwing money around just to please the fans. Now, all that's left is the pitch, because the real judgment won't come in August. The real judgment will come in May, when we'll find out whether the board was actually building a new team or simply delaying the problems until next summer's transfer window. And if you were in Manchester United's boardroom, would you have been satisfied with this transfer window? Or would you have taken a risk on one final big signing before the market closes? Let me know your opinion in the comments and tell me which position you think United should have strengthened before the start of the season.